اسمي سحر قمصية and I'm in بيت صحور من فلسطين. I remember when I first went to the US, I got to the immigration officer at the airport and he looked at me and he said, "What's your nationality?" And I honestly looked at him confused. So I tell people I'm Palestinian when I introduce myself, but there's no Palestine. Like, my country doesn't exist anymore. Sometimes when I go to the 4th of July here, I actually want to grab somebody and ask them, what does it feel like to have freedom? What does it feel like to have a country and to have rights? I grew up in a little town called Beit Sahor, which is close to Bethlehem. My family was Greek Orthodox. Palestinians live under Israeli occupation, so my country, Palestine, kind of ceased to exist 4 years before I was born. Growing up in that conflict all the time, I actually thought peace doesn't exist. There are a lot of people around me that just started to hate the Jews, even though for years we were neighbors and lived together in peace. And then all of a sudden these demonstrations started. I think the day I realized what was going on is when I was 16 at Bethlehem University. That first semester, there was one student who was shot in the head. And I had to sit there and watch him die because the soldiers wouldn't allow us to take him to a hospital. And that's when I realized, oh, that's why we're protesting. Not only did they shoot him, but they prevented us from taking him to a hospital. Right after that event in the university when I was 16, I got to the point where I was depressed. I personally stopped believing in a God that loved me. And so that's when I started to even pray that God would end my life. I mean, I learned the Bible, but I still couldn't connect the dots. There's this boy, 17 years old also, that was shot, and he was Muslim. But I remember going to his family's house and watching his mom, and she had this peace around her. And I looked at her and I'm like, how can you be okay? And I wanted that, you know, no matter what's going on, that I'm gonna be okay. After I learned more about Jesus Christ and started to follow Christ is when I started to feel that peace that I've never experienced in my life. Religious freedom is important because believing in a God changed my life. And I would climb hills and climb walls and sometimes get shot at or almost raped or arrested just trying to get to church. And to me, fighting for that faith is something that made my faith strong. I had an identity all of a sudden. The identity I've been looking for all my life made it so nothing else mattered. Like that piece of document that says I'm Palestinian or whatever didn't really matter anymore. And that kept me going.